Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Welcome to the Jedi Mike 7 Movie News YouTube channel. I'm your host, Jedi Mike 7, and we are here to talk about the third and final film in the Tomorrowverse. Thank God. Um, in the film Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3. I'm here. I'm not alone today. Got Jay King, Blackwing. Thank you guys for stopping by in this review. But yeah, guys, we're just gonna give our thoughts. This is also spoiler filled review at this point. There's no point, y'all. We can tell y'all everything. Um, but yeah, guys, what was just your thoughts on now? We're at the third final part of Tomorrowverse before we get into the new era of James Gunn and animation and everything. I'll start with Blackwing.
This universe is crap. This whole universe, this whole franchise, this whole trilogy is just crap. And the reason why I say that with utter frustration as a big time DC fan. The No one got any proper development or any room to grow whatsoever. And on top of that, with this Crisis trilogy, there is so much chit chatter that all three of these films lack the emotional beats, the heavy emotional beats. You think that the emotional beats that they took from the original story arc that they would put from page to screen would work. It lacked that. And some other things that they were missing. There was a whole lot of other things that they were missing, but it's just you have all these characters, all these alternate versions of these characters that you expect. I'm saying expect because we all been watching since the Tomorrow Superman Man of Tomorrow all the way to here. You would expect to know who all these alternate characters are from these alternate Earths. Earth 2 Superman, Earth 2 Wonder Woman, Amazing Man. I kid you not. I'm like, who the heck is Amazing Man? You have all these other characters that to the a non, generic DC fan who would know who these characters are. Blue Beetle, Ted Cord, the Ray, all these characters that don't even have lines. They're just taking up the background most of the time. It's just bits and pieces of cameos in this trilogy that absolutely make no sense. If you're gonna do a Crisis trilogy, or better, yet, if you're gonna adapt Crisis, which is not an easy feat to do, Arrowverse tried, it didn't really do that well. They tried again in animated form. You would think in animated form it would hit the right beats, but sadly, it did not. It was a mess. And making it a trilogy kind of hurt it even more with just spreading it out every three so months for each part of the trilogy to release. I got more to say, but that's where I'm starting off with for right now.
Yeah, Jay King, what are just your thoughts on the this being the third film in the tomorrow in the Christ and Infinite Earths trilogy, and then this is the end. This is the end.
Yeah, I've been saying it for a while. The Tomorrowverse started off with promise, but I think as things started to just progress when it came to within DC, a lot just didn't work after a period of time. There's just a lot of stuff that it honestly felt like they were just throwing things into the wind and seeing what would stick at times. And in terms of Crisis, like this third part, like just talk about the whole thing in general, the whole thing is a mess. And I would say that for me, it's like Crisis Part 1, Crisis Part 3 almost teetering past 1, but a little bit, and then Part 2 was just a big no. I say in terms of an ending, it's messy, it's all over the place, it is jumbled, but at the same time, it does have a lot of moments that are heartwarming and give an end to not just the Tomorrowverse, but to what we at least knew of DC animation as a whole, as we'll discuss. So again, it's like it has a lot of good in this part 3, but it still has the same problem that Crisis has had since part 1. Just a complete clusterfuck, I would like to say.
Yeah. Yeah, this whole thing was a mess. I've actually interviewed the director and producer of this film back when Justice League World was coming out. Jeff Wemister and everything, and who was directed this film. And again, I understand they have good intentions and everything, but just in terms on a pure animation standpoint, I have not been a fan of this entire universe at all. Now I know we had like Batman, the Long Halloween, Justice League, was it Justice League, World War II, whatever.
Justice Society.
Yeah, what? Yeah, don't even remember it. So it's like that, like that's at that point. But yeah. Again, I was just more trying to see how is this going to end before we get into the whole and new era of DC and everything. But even then, because part one I thought was my favorite out of all three. Definitely that focused more on Barry and Iris relationship and everything. Even though the time placement and everything was kind of just a little bit more difficult to handle. um Absolutely did not like part two at all. I mean, and it really bothered me because certain Batman characters that there literally had nothing to do. And you have this one where yes, it's still a mess in some things and stuff to wrap things up, but there was also some good points and some like emotional in my childhood. I mean, like literally my childhood. And we again, we can talk about it.
Oh,
But
we
like
gonna
we
get to
get
that. We gonna get to that.
yeah. But yeah, this this show this film basically picks off right after Supergirl kills the monitor out of rage and everything, out of being seduced by Psycho Pirate and or the anti-monitor and all that stuff. But yeah, now we get to a point that the anti-monitor is now increasing in power and everything. But by his death, he's able to take all the existing Earths, different realities, and put them in a pocket uh, universe called the Bleed, I believe. Yeah, and so where that they're safe from the monitor, but yet the anti-monitor is still slowly approaching. But yeah, as we're seeing this, there's some things that we were still kind of confused on the time placement. Last I think we saw Wonder Woman was fighting with Amazons, fighting the shadow demons, and the Amazons were not going to let the men out of the prison to fight along with them and stuff. And then by doing that, that entire universe got destroyed. But she's immortal, so yeah, she just like froze a lot. She got frozen alive in mid space and stuff. So um but yeah, I just want to say, ask you guys, so what was just one of your highlights of this film, because we're not gonna try and go through the whole thing chronically and everything, because it'll be more confusing and stuff. But what were some of the highlights of this film that guys stick out to you?
Highlights? What highlights? What highlights? There was no highlights. This movie was a travesty. That's all I gotta say. But I can't even pick like a one good moment besides the fact that they took, the iconic comic page with Superman holding Supergirl's body and screaming in agony and pain and hurt. That's about it. Other than that, there was no other point where I feel like, oh, this is amazing. It's just the choices that they were made in this trilogy. It just made me just one, it made me scratch my head, and two, it made me just go like, what were they thinking? Why did they do it this way? I get with adaptations, you try to be different from the actual source material and want to make it a little, you don't want to do it beat for beat for beat for beat. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. And just the way how this played out, that's probably just the only one highlight. Just actually adapting the iconic cover with Superman holding Supergirl's body. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's like moments, of nodding to that and everything. But yeah, but what about you, Jakey?
I mean, yeah, again, like as everyone in here is saying, like this movie is just a freaking mess. But there are a few moments that I can actually highlight outside of the obvious ones. Outside of, one is definitely what Blackwing said with recreating the iconic moment of Superman holding Supergirl. But outside of that, I say some moments that I definitely liked was seeing a continuation from the old animated universe, the old New 52 inspired universe. They even recreated some of those moments just within Tomorrowverse art style, but it was still like exactly that, continuing exactly from where that left off and giving us a full reasoning as to why things went from how it ended there to how it was in the Tomorrowverse. I really like that we got to see that perspective, even if it was crazy. Another thing would just be some of the sacrifices as well that were made in this movie, or some of the characters that accepted the reality of what was going on and just was like, I'm done. Like, say, Aquaman going back to it, that version of Aquaman going back to his family, or saying goodbye to the Earth 2 Justice Society, or was another one, or uh, again, the ending, just like the ending in general. Um, Again, movie's a mess, but there are a lot of moments that you can actually look back and be like, okay, I actually like that. Like Supergirl sacrifice, or getting to Green Arrow, getting to meet the other version of Black Canary, for example, or again, trying not to say the big obvious, but when it comes to multiverse stuff, we'll talk about that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, for me, I felt like in this like this show, oh no, not this show, this story and everything definitely had some like big moments and everything. Uh but actually, like, I felt for me was that regardless of how the mess of it was, leading up to the end, I actually was really happy with the ending. I think that was like my favorite part. I mean, again, I literally said it. If you just skip about good 40 minutes of this movie and then you get to the meat of it and stuff like that. Well, let me start with the big one, which is the big one I've been asking for. It's like, hey, listen, this whole thing in Crisis, right? Like, how are you going to get to this point of explaining how this universe and everything uh basically become to be right now? We know that from the animated movies and everything, but we know how, like, hey, are they actually going to explain what happened? And actually they do. They go back to like Justice League Apocalypse War, Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, and that this is the moment I was like, thank you. I was like, but the fact that we had to get to like 3 parts just to get to this point was frustrating. Like, like, it was nice to see this. I was happy. But at the same time, I was like, and also they continue on changing better animation and making it bad, like worse, just to fit in continuity. Like, because there were some scenes that were good in animation, but even like if you take the Flash looked completely different animation wise than what he did in the freaking Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. I was like, why? You had I was like, why? You had perfect animation. But like, no, they went back and go and change it, and we actually find out what happened was that Constantine basically did something that was off screen, was that he put a spell on Barry to go back in time to actually go and actually kill Darkseid. But then we find out that Darkseid is actually a fixed point or entity within the DC universe, that there needs to be a Darkseid in the universe, like there needs to be a Superman or a Batman, or like, and with that caused that anomaly to happen where all of these different universes continue to spiral based on that one significant event, to the point where the Batman that we follow doesn't even know who Darkseid is, which is crazy. But yeah, that's what we found out, and I thought that was pretty cool. What did you guys feel about the fact that they connected Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, what Constantine did, what the Flash did, and everything, and kind of finding the root and finding the going before the beginning, before this universe was created?
I found it very interesting how they use Darkseid as a fixed point to become a canon event, to be like a become an anomaly to change the universe. Because what I thought, we all, we watched Apocalypse War. Constantine told Flash that in order to undo this, he had to create another flashpoint. So we all thought that, okay, Barry created another flashpoint to prevent this from happening. And just to reveal that it's just that he put a spell on Barry to go all the way to the past to kill Darkseid before he's even like he invades Earth multiple times. That pretty much undoes everything. And this kind of goes into a deeper point in the movie where Dr. Fate explains that because of that action, this leads to multiple realities, multiple possibilities, alternate Earths forming, infinite Earths forming, to the point where the universe can't take the multiverse, can't take it anymore. To the point where it's, reality starts to collapse on itself. And that's where the need for everything to start being erased and then just starts to form into one single continuity, one singularity, one main Earth. Now, that I found very interesting because that is a portion that is taken from the actual story arc, but it's just, again, this goes to my point of saying how the multiverse is an extremely niche topic and it's very difficult for modern audiences to understand. Even a big comic book fan such as myself, I still find the multiverse theme to be just to grasp it. And it's become too much of a norm now, as you see in comic book media. I'm talking about TV shows, films, and video games. I remember when this topic was such a very run of the mill, once in a blue moon. You will only hear about the multiverse only once every 5, 10, or 15 years. Now that has become such a staple now in comic book pop culture, it's gotten too much. It's too heavy of a topic for myself, and I can't speak for everybody else, but it's too heavy of a topic to grasp. Not everyone's going to grasp with that topic.
Yeah, JK.
I mean, just going to the question of like how I feel about the connection, I would just say that it is about damn time that they made that connection. Ever since the ending of Apocalypse War and ever since that little Constantine special that obviously took place after that, I was just waiting for the connection to come. And as soon as after part one, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's definitely where they're leading to. But the fact that now we get to, as I said before, now that we get to see the full extent of that. And I know it's like, oh, they changed it from just being, oh, you got to create another flashpoint to, oh, you got to like maybe Darkseid. I know a lot of people will probably feel a little weird about that, but I would just like to think of that as like, oh, we heard it from Barry's perspective first time. But I'm just glad that the connection was made, so that way it kind of brings everything full circle, not just with this Tomorrowverse, but every other DC animated universe of films and shows that we have been watching since our childhood and before some of us even existed. But in terms of, again, just talking about the multiverse, I mean, yeah, it is a very niche subject. It's not even the fact that it isn't that difficult to understand. It's the fact that many creators amongst many different fandoms like to explain it in different ways that it gets confusing for different audiences. It's easy to understand that it's a different reality where something is not as it was in your reality because of a certain change that you made or that someone else made. It's a different reality based on a certain event not being exactly how it was in your world, basically like that. And that's spawning to infinite choices and infinite multiverses. But the thing is, like, other TV shows and movies kind of complicated a bit to the fact that people then get confused because it's not that difficult to understand. It's just that everyone else makes it difficult to understand. But in terms of just the connective tissue that we got in this, I don't mind it. I really don't. And This is coming from someone who has dealt with multiple different ways of explaining it throughout media and comic books. At this point, you either got to turn your brain off when it comes to it or have some level of understanding when it comes to it. And for me, I'm the latter half.
Yeah, well, I want to, before we kind of like wrap things up, I want to actually get the like the big moment, like, because when as we had the more iconic deaths, from the comics of Supergirl, also, was it Psycho Pirate, and but also with Wonder Woman too. That was a big one. But her basically birthing the new the new DC universe in some form. Now, in terms of how this film ended, now I don't know if that's alluding to Paradise Lost, the show that's going to be coming through James Gunn as well. Along that's also been announced, but I know it's far in for production because we have like Peacemaker, Creature Commandos, all Lanterns, all that stuff. That's more in closer development than that. But we saw a little tease after the whole new entity of people going to the new universe. But yeah, for me, this was just like I was just happy to see this. But and that was my saving grace for this film. Was like, please get to the point where you guys go back to like Christ, to Apocalypse War. But they did it, and did it have to take 3 movies to get to it? Whatever. But with that, with deletion of certain um uh characters and universes and everything, we get to actually one thing, and I guess the big one is that we actually get our final performance from Kevin Conroy as Bruce Wayne's Batman fighting Mark Hamill's Joker, and going out in style, and the way he's going out the way he started. And I just want to say, what are you guys' thoughts on now that this is our final and goodbye to Kevin Conroy, the legend of Batman?
Well, I didn't really have any like expectations on how they would do Kevin's final bout as Batman. And given the circumstances and what has happened with this movie and with the performance itself, I say this was a good way for it to end. It's not much, it's just a little bit of line of dialogue for Kevin Conroy, and I'm not upset at it. And just the way how he went out, it was it was it was beautiful, bittersweet, if I would say. But you know, like I said, given the circumstances of how we lost Kevin, it it seemed about right. This is a much better final performance for Kevin than it was for Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. And okay, regarding Mark Hamill, I watched that clip many times over. I'm just like, are you sure that's Mark? Because I know Mark Hamill's Joker voice, and I'm like, that does not sound like Mark. I know everybody else is saying that is Mark Hamill's voice, but I'd have to keep watching it over and over and over again. I'm just like, that can't be Mark.
I think he was trying to go back to how he sounded like in season 1 of the Batman animated series, because again, like that the voice that we all know, he really did not get that voice morphed really until about a couple of years later, like seasons into the Batman animated series. But like, yeah, that's, and you have to understand that that's, at this point is year like how many years at this point? Like, what is it,
Like,
almost
like it's been 30,
over?
30 years.
Yeah,
30,
30, yeah,
30,
30, 40
32,
years.
like 32 years.
Yeah, seriously. So, with that, it's just like, yeah, but this is the classic design of him and everything. Um, but yeah, I was happy with this. I mean, again, the Suicide
Okay,
Squad,
if it was Mark, then okay, because like I said, I was just like, that can't be Mark. Like this does not sound like Mark. But if everyone's saying it's Mark, then okay, I'll take
yeah,
it. I'll take it.
yeah. One thing also too was like, the big one is that, and I thought I was losing my mind. I was watching this at work. Was when even and I'm liking how they stayed in the same universe, because it is in the same universe. As the universe is getting destroyed and all stuff, all of a sudden we see a watchtower in the sky, right? But then we go in deeper, and I'm like, oh wait, all right, I see Aquaman. I see you with the hook. But I'm like, no, the Aquaman with the hook just died. Who's this one? And I was like, oh shoot. And then I see my boy John Stewart. I see my boy, or I see freaking Superman and Wonder Woman in the background, and all the Justly Unlimited characters and stuff in the Watchtower. And then just like the scene, the antimatter wave approach. And I was just like, soon, and I didn't, and it wasn't, it was just like the fact of like seeing that just go away, at that moment, it caught me off guard, but I was excited. I was like, oh my God. I was like,
They destroyed my favorite childhood Earth, and it hurts even more because I'm rewatching Justice League right now, just for old time's sake, and just the way how they just outed the DCAU, the Bruce Timm universe, just like that. I'm like, oh my God, why?
immediately when I saw that, I was
Like,
like, wait,
why?
I know the animation. I know all of it. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, what is that? I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah,
First you get rid of Kevin and Joker on Earth, and then you just destroy the League who are up in the Watchtower. First of all, I applaud them for using the current Tomorrowverse style to kind of make it look exactly similar to the DCAU universe. And, just to see a little moment between GL and Shiera. Really nice. Really nice. Bittersweet, but nice.
yeah. Well, J. King, what was your thoughts on this?
Okay, well, first talking just strictly about Kevin, yeah, that by far has to be the best. Like as his final performance, that has to be the best final performance. He said it well. He's going to go out the way he's been living, being Batman. That line says so much, not just within the context of this movie, but just as his legacy as Batman. He went out as Batman. His last two performances, he went out as Batman. And regardless of how you want to feel about Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and trust me, I've talked a lot trying to calm people down and say that, again, if they knew, they wouldn't have had it go that way. But I feel like this was just a better ending to Kevin's legacy. Not only do you have it back in the role that started it all, specifically in the universe that started it all, and not just with his buddy Mark Hamill next to him being like, oh, in the end, you're right here with me. You have the two iconic ones in real life, best friends in that universe, greatest enemies, but always tied by the hip, battling it out. And then also you say goodbye to the rest of that original DC animated universe by seeing Aquaman, and I didn't notice it until you had it up on screen. But I also noticed Flash in the corner, Wally West Flash. Yeah, he was in the corner. And that same frame with Aquaman.
Put that picture up again, because all I saw was Aquaman.
No, he was right in the corner.
Right, bottom right corner, you'll see Wally West Flash, but also seeing Superman and Wonder Woman, and then just the final moment with Jon Stewart and Hawkgirl. That was just the icing on the freaking cake.
Just no dialogue between the two, just silence.
No.
And what they say, silence is golden.
There was no need for any dialogue in that. If you know what these characters have been through and you know their history, that was enough. That was enough to see them go for like the final time. Yeah, bottom right corner right there.
Okay, now I see him. Okay, so I'm just like, I only see 6 leaguers. Like there should be 7. Like Batman was on Earth. I see Aquaman, I see GL, Wonder Woman, Shiera. I'm like, where's Wally? I'm like, okay, here he is.
Yeah.
All 7 are accounted. Well, 8. Yeah. 8. All 8 are accounted for. Wait, Jean is not there. I just remembered. There's no Jean.
Oh yeah, wait. I mean, we've already seen enough Manhunter, so I guess there was no.
But it was also that was given Justice League the animated series, not Justice League Unlimited, because John doesn't have his head shave and everything. So anyway.
Yeah, and not just saying goodbye to that, also the fact that we got to say goodbye to both Super Friends and Teen Titans.
Okay, the fact that they had to off the Super Friends universe, I'm like, what are you doing that for? I'm like,
just like Batman gets one last message. Goodbye.
First of all,
and then like what 2003.
And you just see Titans Tower, and it's like goodbye.
The way how they just set that up, I'm like, the monitors have found another.
And then we didn't have to say anything.
I'm like, Earth 2003. I'm like, 2003. I'm like, oh my god.
And y'all saw me when they said 2003. We see Titans Tower. I got up on my chair. I was so mad.
I was laughing, and this is like a round of a totally array of emotions. I'm just like, this is just why. Like, is this a jab at the fans who are asking for a season 6 of Teen Titans? I'm just like,
no. This was all.
You ain't getting it.
No, it was all of animation, and I think that was more of like, listen, I think there could have been a beautiful way to end this if they it didn't, but they had to put money on it because it's like how to do different animations at the same time on the same screen, right? And it's not like yeah, they're using the Tomorrowverse animation, but for example, like at the end where everybody's going to the monoverse, it'd be nice to see. Okay, maybe Kevin Conroy Batman just goes in there, and then even though he's not the only Batman that goes in there, it's like, well, there'll at least be a Batman at that universe, and a piece of him will be you. And I like it'd be nice to see that, like those versions, even that's why I'm like, hey, everything you it could be a combination of everything you enjoy and stuff into one and into a new entity, but a piece of what you grew up on will always be there. That's what I thought, like that would have been more. It's just cool. But I was still happy with the ending we got. I actually thought that was a nice way to go out. But yeah, but aside from that, at the end, again, they decided get to go to his monoverse, and use the life of Wonder Woman because she's immortal to basically we're all single entities and stuff. Different versions of characters are going to go into his universe and basically become one prime version. And with that, we're seeing all these characters going almost, kind of like saying their goodbyes and stuff as the Spectre comes in, the Wrath of God, and stuff. Which, listen, now at this point, I actually want to see Spectre live action. Like, I want to see like his persona, like just like we got the Watcher. I want to see the Spectre live action. I'm not talking about Arrowverse, Green Arrow Spectre BS. No, I'm talking about the actual Spectre. You know what I mean? But yeah, that would be fire. But yeah, I guess what you guys just thought about this? How everybody was kind of just going out and leading into the new DC universe before we wrapped up.
I thought it
Uh,
was okay with that point, with just having people just walk through a portal into a sink into the new Earth, as like they dictated in the comics. They designated just New Earth, so everyone's origins gets retconned, everyone's history gets erased. All, well, not erased, but like all the alternate versions, all the qualities of every different alternate version of specific characters gets combined into one characterization, which it's clever, and I like that. And I think that's a good way for it to go. But in the end, I get first of all, the question pissed me off. He pissed me off at that one point with saying like, I'm not walking through this portal. Everything you represent, just like, I don't believe in
on
this.
principle.
I'm just like, man,
No,
shut up
no,
and walk into the
That
portal.
was a
no, no,
shot
no,
to.
no,
I
no.
think that was a shot to Snyder. But
Yeah, no. He. The question was possessed by a certain somebody, and just being like, fuck that shit. If I ain't Snyder, I don't want it.
yeah, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like it, what he represented as the question made sense, but also I was like, get in there, man, get in there. Like, come on. But then but in my head after rewatching it, I'm like, okay, it's not like the question's not gonna be in this new universe. I want to see the question. But I was just like, it made sense, like, hey, I don't trust you. I didn't even trust the damn monitor. Well, I'm gonna trust this. It's wrath of God, and then
Yeah,
going
no.
to this. But like, I'm not going on principle. Like, okay, even with Constantine, like, and this is another thing, like a live action, more modern day. Yes, we have the TV show Constantine through the TV, with CW and all that stuff. But to see a new Constantine, but like interacting with other like DC, like iconic DC characters and stuff, that's a character where it's like it's not like a carbon copy of Doctor Strange, but to see that balance between live action and everything, um, that's where I'm thinking that like honestly, like it can that I think there's be a lot of good stories to tell with that because I wasn't the biggest fan of John Constantine. Like the New 52 was it Justice League War universe and stuff leading up to Justice League Dark made me a fan of John Constantine. Not I wasn't even into the live action TV show. Wasn't into like no, I wasn't in any of that. But that animation like they'll show Justice League Dark and all that stuff. Like that really made me like, okay, I like his character. Same thing with Damian Wayne. I wasn't a fan of Damian Wayne until that universe, and so I appreciate them doing that, and for him to say, listen, I did all of this. Internal damnation. Hey, but doesn't mean he's not going to have a future. Because even then, with Spectre was talking about, hey, maybe instead of me giving wrath, I can give another thing, hope, and stuff. And I think that's what was very interesting. Those lines of like, and stuff like that. But yeah, it was just kind of like, I wish it would be more emotional weight because I don't give a damn about this universe. like I was like, that's the thing. And like, oh, I'm gonna miss you. No, I'm not getting there. Wipe this. Get in there. Now you next. I'm next in line. Get in there. Oh y'all, clean slate. The race.
All right. Well, I'll just say this. First off, I understood why Constantine didn't walk through because it's like he's already gone and done enough. So him not walking through, yeah. But I legit, when the question was like, I'm not going in there. I almost wanted to become a character in there, just like get your ass in there.
Seriously,
like just go in.
Oh,
just stop being pessimistic. But and just to talk about Constantine. I know he's going to definitely appear at some point. He will show up at some point, whether it's his own story or just a dark kind of scenario. We'll see him again, but it is kind of bittersweet in a sense because not only because the guy who voiced Constantine in these movies and the old New 52 movie style movies is also the dude who played him in live action. So like this dude has been playing and living as John Constantine for such a long time that it's going to be very weird seeing anybody else in live action or animation take up that mantle because he's just done a good job perfecting that in both the real and animated world. Again, I know we'll definitely see John Constantine again at some point, but it's going to be weird, but I'm open to seeing what someone else can definitely do with the character.
Yeah. Jonathan, yeah, what was just your thoughts on just that tying everything with a bow as much as, you call it, but like with that, like that goodbye or whatever, everybody. Oh, you muted, man.
Sorry about that. I was gonna say they tried. They really tried. And one more thing I forgot to mention. They did my boy Terry dirty. Real dirty. All you Batman Beyond fans, we want justice.
Oh.
Justice for Terry.
I mean, look, Terry was there. He was participating. He wasn't a main focus, but I mean, he was participating. But I get it though.
The man only had 60 seconds of lines in part 2, and here he only looked like he only got 15 or 30 seconds. Now, what I find interesting in how they utilize with the Bat family in this movie, having Earth 2 Dick Grayson, Earth 2 Huntress. I'm not sure which Earth Damien is from. Is Damien from the old Apocalypse?
No. It's just a Damien from they're all from different universes. Like again, Huntress and Robin from different universe, Batgirl from a different universe. Batwing, Batman Beyond.
Batwing got no lines. Batwing had no lines.
Okay, moving on for that. Batman Beyond we can assume is maybe the same one we followed back in the show, but everyone else is a completely different universe. But I do understand what you're about to say, which I'll let you get to.
Okay, but I will say I found it interesting how they utilize the Bat family, especially of the only knowledge that I have of Earth 2 Batman is that he did retire twice. He did marry Selena. They became a couple. They became a married couple. Helena Huntress is their daughter, and Earth 2 Batman was also the police commissioner, like she said. So I like that they did pay attention to I like when they paid attention to detail about certain alternate versions of the characters, which was nice. But the way how everything came about or how everything started, it was a mess. It was a big mess.
Yeah. I guess we'll just leave it on the final thoughts on this. With this, again, the way how it ended, I was kind of like, I'm cool with this, even though it's a mess. But I like how we're ending off with new characters. Like I think the fact is more of the character than actually the character in the story that they're executing that I feel the feelings for. Like I feel feelings for all like most of these DC characters that I care about, but like I don't give a damn about this version of these characters and stuff like as they're going by and in the story because I feel like you didn't really fully invest it. Again, the only one I really felt was Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1 because that Barry and Iris storyline, like to me, it's like I was feeling that. Like that I felt they executed that very well. A mix of all the disjointed timelines that they did, but they actually told a very tragic story, like sad story. But like with that, but that was felt like the most, I would say what you call the most complete movie out of the three, in my opinion. But yeah, if they could just take the most of part one, take the Amazo stuff out, and take this this one with the cameos of Conroy and all that stuff, and then the ending of them going to the new universe and stuff, I'll be here for it. But yeah. Aside from that, you guys give your final ratings for the film?
It is a 2 out of 5. I'm being too generous. It's like 1.5, 1.5 to 2 out of 5. That's what I give. And my overall consensus with the Tomorrowverse, like J. King said, it started off promising, but as you watch these movies, it lacks the characterizations of specific characters. It lacks the development of the characters. And just to even have quote unquote Justice League, there is no Justice League here. There really is no Justice League here. Probably the only team that actually is formally here is the JSA. That's it. In terms of everybody else, there is no Justice League. The characterizations are just, abysmal. And speaking as a Green Lantern fan, I could tell they really hated Hal Jordan in this universe. Look, I'm keeping a buck, all right? And I'm a Jon Stewart fan. As much as I want to say, I kind of like Beware My Power, but as time went on, I can see the issues that people have.
Yeah.
But overall consensus of the Tomorrowverse started off promising, ended off kind of very abysmal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, J. King.
But yeah, just final rating for this film. First off, I'd say I'd give it like I don't know, like a C. Like just both the film and the trilogy of the film, like the trilogy, I would of the Crisis on Infinite Earths, I would just give a C. A lot of good moments and a lot of promising moments and a good ending, but a jumbled mess. And in terms of the Tomorrowverse as a whole, I mean, as he said that I said, it started off promising. First couple films not that bad. Superman, JSA, Long Halloween, but then after that, it just felt like things were just like trickling down, like they wanted to do something. And the thing is like through other films, you could see that they did want to. Again, the first part of Crisis literally was if is a what if instead of going straight to Green Lantern, we told the Justice League story. It's like it feels like they had a plan, but someone in the higher ups were like, okay, the DC universe is kind of changing on multiple fronts, so just do whatever you can for the moment in time, and we'll tell you when it's all over, kind of feel. Because otherwise, this maybe would have been reshuffled and maybe would have ended in a much better spot. But I will say, a promising universe that kind of fell flat in some instances, but at the end of the day, it had a beautiful ending that I would at least say gives me hope. Not just that everything that I've seen since I was a child isn't just gone, but will live on forever in some form or fashion, but also in a funny way gives hope for what the new DC universe is going to be, but kind of being a jumping off point for how things are going to be for both live action and animation. So I guess it's just, at the end of the day, I wish it could have been better. I wish there are some things that could have been shifted a bit, but at the very least, it gave itself a good ending. And now we move on to this new universe that they stepped through the portal of, and let's see how James Gunn does everything.
Yeah, I give the rating for this film again. I give it like a 2 out of 5. Again, moments and stuff that were nice, memorable. I was like tearing up a little bit just for my nostalgia purposes. But in terms of the entire universe, yeah, I give a C minus or D maybe. Yeah, out of you look at all this again, out of what 8 movies and maybe 1 or 2 I actually like, 2 or 3 ever I like, probably maybe. Yeah, but even Beware My Power had issues with that as well. Legion of Superheroes I didn't even watch. Justice League War World I had to get through. I did interview them and stuff for that, but
World made my head hurt. I'm like, why is
I was so
everything so
confused.
slow?
I was confused. But anyway, but anyway, I would just say with this though, I am out with the old and with the new, but at the same time, the new is not forgotten. It will always be part of history. So it just kind of just bracing just for change and everything though. But aside from that, guys, I want you guys to plug your stuff to Blackwing. Where can people find you?
So you guys can follow me on my YouTube channel, Blackwing 2040, and as well as my other socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch, and TikTok, Blackwing 2040 as well. Right now, basically content wise, I'm strictly a tokusatsu YouTuber, so I basically cover a lot of tokusatsu shows. Currently doing Super Sentai, and as the months go by, I will be hopefully estimately be doing adding Kamen Rider by the end of the year or at the start of 2025. So yeah.
Yeah, J King, where people find you?
Well, outside of here, you guys can find me on my Instagram, jking_ZIO. But yeah, otherwise, you can find me here, or maybe you can find me in other places like JVS. Who knows? Videos coming. Biggest movie of the summer's coming up. So of course, stuff will be. We got stuff coming for you guys. So just stay tuned, both for that and also for Comic-Con stuff. So
1 week in 1 week.
Yeah. And you can find me on YouTube and on Instagram at Jedi Mike 7. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Also, just want to let you guys know, yeah, Comic-Con's coming up next week and stuff. I'm containing my excitement. I felt a little bit this morning, and one of the biggest movies of the year I got confirmed for Monday. And stuff. So
Rub it in, why don't you?
But hey, we also I can also see it more than one time, also for free. Yes.
Rub it in, why don't you?
And stuff and everything. But yeah, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Make sure you hit the notification bell because next week, man, we're going full throttle. But other than that, guys, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace, everybody. Wait, where's my video at? Where's my video? There it is. All right, we are out. Peace.